Hello and welcome to SuperCoach Edge for the Round 8 review and Round 9 preview. And it was a relatively uneventful round for once, but with injuries and key suspensions in recent weeks, it was a welcome relief for us all. Josh Dunkley got things off to a flyer first up, especially for those who captained him, and he went on a clinic to score 149. Not to be outdone though, Bont, Le Bont, as we call him, proved an even tastier option with a 164, whilst the Pink Sweaty Pig himself was a suitable alternative and a tasty one at that with a 136. In terms of more, I guess, pot options, a 179 from Jay-Z, just pulled that from his absolute clacker, and a 156 from Goulden would have no doubt been nice if you had your own, I guess, patented SuperCoach Edge crystal ball, which still haven't been on sale yet because they're going through a few issues. Not unlike AFL 23, a few glitches and patches that need to be sent out there, but you'd need to own one of those in order to know if those guys were dropping those type of scores. And it only took, must say, multiple best on grounds and an Anzac Day Medal. But opposition coaches are finally paying close attention to Nick Daicos, who scored a lowly score by his standards of just 81 against the Swans, with Clarke his shadow for a majority of the day.
And in terms of some other poorer scores, there are a couple of fallen premos who perhaps have further to fall in price than we originally thought, with low-scoring weeks from both Lockie Neale and James Sicily, who coincidentally both scored 63. And it's going to result in a further drop in price, you would expect. And with buys fast approaching, these fallen premos could be ripe for the picking at the perfect time.
Indeed. All we need are some new cash cows to downgrade to, and we'll be set. And there are some appearing on the horizon, unless it's merely a mirage. Imagine that. There's just a pool of 50K cash prize there amongst them as well. We can dream. But of course, if you're not following us on socials where we post the latest news, post-match SuperCoach scores, and the odd meme or two, you can do so via on Twitter at SuperCoach_Edge, at DamoJ88, or Liam at LiamEvans_95 on Facebook, Insta, and TikTok. Just search SuperCoach Edge and you'll find us there.
Yep. Let's kick off things today with our usual recap in the good, the bad, and the ugly. For those new to our show, in the good, the bad, and the ugly, we roll through some of the notable and the more forgettable performances across the round. I'm tongue-tied today. And touch on how our own teams performed in our head-to-head rivalry as we wrestle for ultimate supremacy. Damon, do you want to kick off with the good?
Yes, the good. Let's kick off the good with Le Bont, who wrestles this away from Dunkley with his mammoth score. And geez, I must say, it feels good to be an owner of the top dog when he's at full flight. It's good, isn't it? Like there was, we've said it before, like we owned him previous seasons and he's just turned to shit, but he's finally forgiven us and we've forgiven him because, I mean, it's not really, hasn't really been his fault. It's been Champion Data's fault. They've kind of put it in their heads that they just sling him, just bulk points, just, you know, pucker up, as we say. They put on the lipstick, get on their knees, and yeah, he pretty much gets gifted points. So, yeah, happy enough with that. But he put in a solid score for us and very, very happy with that.
Very good score. Now, on to the bad. The score of just 37 from Ashcroft wasn't what we wanted to see from one of our prime cash cows. Well, we'll cut him some slack, I guess, because he's a first-year player. Despite the huge raps, he does find himself in the bad category as he has all but halted his cash gen that we were hoping would continue along until the buys.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, a bit of a disappointment there, but nevertheless, don't be fearful. We will provide a couple of options if you're looking to trade him very, very shortly. And let's move on to the ugly. So there's probably a few candidates here, and I mean, you can narrow it down, and we'll narrow it down to the combined honours here, hand in hand, as they're hard to split considering both scored just 63, and they are Sicily and Neale who take out this category. just an all-round ugly display from two players who have historically been some of the more reliable in recent years in their respective positions. So let's kick off in terms of how our teams fared coming out of the weekend. I ended up scoring a juicy score of 2,451. And in terms of ranking, I went up 2,452 spots to now sit 4,028. So yes, continued my ascension to the higher ranking rungs. And as you can see there, I cut my rank by 1/3 to now finally sit inside the top 5K. So tracking nicely. And I actually compared it with, in recent times, one of my more successful seasons, which was in 2019, when I finished, was it 147th? I think it was overall. And I'm pretty much a week behind that schedule of that season. So interesting. So hopefully I can continue it if that's anything to go by. Hopefully I can continue that that ascension. But in terms of trades, I made no secret last week, I was craving the absolute taste of the pink sweaty pig. And this week, there is no pig in a can. As you might have seen if you tuned in last week.
Pig juice.
The pig juice, as you referred to it as, aka the Mountain Dew, not to be confused with Stewie Dew in a can, which is a different brand. Not that you'd want to drink that. But yes, I got my fix of the pink sweaty pig. And boy, was it tasty with that 136 captain score. First up, mind you, bringing him in at the expense of Hopper. And I cashed in Fergus Green and the Philippou for Simpson. Simpson-y. And Ricotta, a.k.a. Panna Cotta, a.k.a. Gin Cotta. So in terms of cash cows, probably look to be healthier than some. I've got Wilmot, Chincotta, Seamus Mitchell, Simpson, and Ryan that I'm now relying upon over the coming weeks to make bank, but also help me through the buys, which we start to look at this point in the season. Special shout out also to Ryan, who smashed out a ton and could have actually found himself in the good category. Such was his week, because now he's going to make us bulk coin. He scored about 104. But yeah, I mean, at the time it was a risk. We both discussed this at length. You and I, Liam, do we go for Van Ruin, who could potentially make more cash compared to Ryan, who was at a higher price point?
Yeah.
Cheaper, JVR, but it's worked out an absolute treat there, especially considering that news has come out that Van Ruin has been offered a 2-week ban for his hit on
Ballard,
yes, and had to be stretched off. So not a good look, but I think they are contesting it for those owners of JVR, but it did work out well. In terms of, I guess, what I'm looking to do this week, I did actually put out a Team Talk video this morning or last night prior to this episode, of course. And I did say that I was looking to bring Steele in, and I had a bit of a long drive today for work. And across the course of that journey, in my mind, I was doing moves, and I thought, you know what? I can afford Jordan Dawson if I go early on someone like a Drury. And I think the time is now for me to do jury duty, because I got out of it previously. So it's a good time to bring him in. So I might just be doing that move and bypassing the move that I was throwing up in my Team Talk, which is to bring Steele in. But still, I think maybe if I go down this route, this will probably be the last upgrade that I do for a fair while, at least heading into the buys, because I need to conserve the amount of trades I've got, but we'll wait and see there. But as I said, to catch a closer insight into my team strategy and I guess trading plans, which I did discuss as well, heading beyond next week, you can catch that in Damo's Team Talk mini episode, which is exclusively, of course, on our SuperCoach Edge YouTube channel. And Liam, how did you fare coming out of the weekend?
Not as well, but just before, just know that you were obviously responsible and just thinking about the trades in your head and not while you were driving in the app. Course. Just letting all the listeners at home know.
Oh, yes. I was in my head. That's it. Yes. I'm very much like a, I think with SuperCoach, I'm very much on the spectrum, because I can visualize.
It's funny.
My team. I don't know if you can do that as well, but
I can dream about it too.
Yeah, of course. You have mentioned that, which is next level than me. But I know the players' prices, and I know working out in terms of trade plans. So yes, I wasn't looking at my phone as I was driving. Do not do that, especially because you can get caught and find a fair amount. So don't be silly. But yeah, just become like us and just memorize
all of the
prices.
players.
Yeah,
all of the
exactly.
players' prices.
If you're looking at team enough, it probably says like how much time we spend looking at our
Yeah.
teams, like more than anything, which is concerning.
Yeah,
Probably
a little
concerning
bit.
more so for my wife. I haven't seen her for a few days, so I jest. Liam, how did you go?
Anyway, not as well as you did, Damon. I only managed a score of 2,281, which saw me go down the rankings 1.3k, not too bad, to 23,441 overall. So in terms of trades this week, I did opt to trade out Fergus Green, Darcy Wilmot, and Mateus Philippou for the jiggly panna cotta. Sorry, I mean chin cotta. And the Man of Steel himself, Jack Steele, and Sam Simpson,
I like how they've all got nicknames. That's the best.
That's my whole team now. My whole team's got nicknames.
Yeah, but when you mentioned jiggle panna cotta, I just had that song wiggle 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 do, 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 in my head. So now every time that I hear chin cotta, it's going to be jiggle jiggle jiggle. Don't mind me.
Anyway, I did have a down week. Was affected by low scores from Sicily, Darcy, and Cogs, along with Daicos and the like, and Ashcroft didn't help. And much like I've noticed a trend in my team when I do trade in a premo, and they have a downer their first week in my side, and I actually want to go back through this and just sort of show what's happened. But Steele obviously came into my side, pumped out a 95, down what I'd expect from him in recent weeks, obviously. Or down on what I expect from him just in general. And in recent weeks, I've traded in Merritt in round 7, who scored 91. Then this round scored 106. Traded in Oliver in round 6 for an 89, and then went into 134 and 136, and then in the next 2 rounds. Then traded in Sicily back in round 4 for a 76. Then went round 5, 91, round 6, 105, and round 7, 128. Luke Davies-Uniacke, round 3, traded him in. Was the latest of outs. And Jordan Ridley, round 2, traded him in off I think he scored 100 and something for Stewart after he got injured, and he came into my side for a 70. So, I mean, the positive is that I know that Steele's going to have a good score this week, hopefully, based off the recent form. But it just seems like whoever I pick, the only one that I think has actually worked out is Stewart, and I'm pretty sure it's the only player that we've traded in the same week. Yeah. So I'm just going to have to just see who you're trading in and make sure that I trade them in as well. Yeah,
so like I offset the currencies that we're saying.
It's weird. So weird. But yeah, pretty much if I go for a player, do not go for them because they're going to have a down week.
I was going to say this is almost like is delivered also as a warning to people out there.
Yeah. Seriously.
So pick them up the week after that you get them in.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the key.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. But let's
try and go for Dawson maybe. Because then
don't know if I have the cash to use Dawson.
I can then just maybe some of mine. I can just see you as like Oliver.
Yeah, I'm just sitting on the. Yeah, pretty much. I'm just panhandling on the side of the SuperCoach highway. But let's have a look at our head-to-head, Damon. And it comes as no surprise. You got another win. So it is 1 win to myself, 7 wins to you. And you've extended the point differential, haven't you?
I've pushed out a little bit
just a little bit
from 258 points differential to now 428. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
You'll get me one back later.
I don't think it will.
With our captains.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a hollow victory.
Again, because I shot myself in the foot like an
pretty
idiot.
much. Oh yeah.
As long as it makes you feel better. But
not really. But
no, okay.
It's something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's just forget about the weekend that was, shall we? And let's turn our attention to the juiciest part of our episode, as always, as we talk all things trades in The Price is Right.
Show me the money. Oh! Does that make you feel good just to say that? What you gonna do, Jerry? Show me the money!
For those tuning in for the first time, The Price is Right is the segment where we discuss potential trades and trade targets from week to week, or whether a specific player under question should even be traded at all. And Liam, do you want to kick us off with the first in our first category of going, gone?
Yes, and it probably comes as no surprise. It is Brodie Grundy, ruck eligible for Melbourne, obviously, 532k, averaging 98.5 with a break-even of 152. And once again, he played second fiddle in the ruck with Gawn, who with a 42% versus a 47% split in terms of ruck contests. And his horrid scoring run continued with just 60 points, adding to the 69, 81, and 89 he scored with Gawn in the team. Last week, you would have made 70k by downgrading to Gawn. This week, with his price drop of 43.4k and Gawn's rise of 11k, it's going to be just 20k. Oofed. His break even last week was 158, and this week it's 152. He was projected to lose 25k this coming weekend. So make it a priority to move him on before he continues his bad scoring and bleeds you even more cash. Straight swap to Gawn for me.
Yep, absolutely. If you didn't do it last week, make sure you do it this week. There's no
you got to do it.
No two ways about it there. Let's move on to the next player that you should consider punting, and it is Fergus Green. As a forward, he's priced at 267.8 K. He's averaging a 50.5 and a break even of 106. And he bottomed out last week. And for those that held him, were left tearing their hair out as he was subbed out in the third quarter on a score of just 17. And I must admit that I was actually going to keep him, and it was between him and Wilmot. And then I figured, I'm like, wait a second, Wilmot's playing first up. I might be able to loop his score. And that was my saving grace. And I reversed the trade and traded out Fergus Green. And as a result, I've actually saved myself 17.7k there, because that's how much he lost, Fergus Green, on the weekend. And he's projected to lose over 28k over the next couple of weeks, with, of course, that 17 and 28 in his 3-round average rotation. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for someone to downgrade and cash in, he is someone that you can't look past, that's for sure.
Yep, agreed. With a break even of 106, just move him on. Now, moving on to our next option, it is Jacob Van Rijn, forward eligible. Yeah, told you I was tongue-tied. 247.8k, averaging 59.2 with a break even of 59. So very close to his average there. And if his high-ish break even wasn't enough to consider trading him, factoring in that he has now been offered a 2-week suspension for a head-high hit on Ballard, he's now a must trade, I think. Obviously, they've challenged it. So watch for that. But I reckon it probably gets downgraded as opposed to cleared, I would expect. Yep. I don't think he goes down to no weeks. Cash gen has pretty much dried up with that average, just above his break even by 0.2. So he's made us 123.9k. He is ripe to cash in. Move him on.
Yep.
He's done his job.
Yep, exactly. It'd be nice, I guess, coverage for the buys, but yeah.
Ben Brown was knocking down the door in the VFL.
Yep.
Yep. If he was it Ben Brown? Yeah, it was Ben Brown.
Yep.
If he misses a week, Ben Brown comes in and kills it. It's going to be hard for him to get his spot back. Yep.
No, totally agreed there. Cut ties with him there. So let's move on to this next guy. And there's a lot of us jumped on and rode his cash wave to great success, but now it's just petering out, and it's pretty much just a little tiny little baby wave on the edge of shore there. It is Will Setterfield as a midfielder, priced at 408.3k, averaging an 88 with a break even of 109. He scored a 71 on the weekend, but the cash, as I said, that he's made continues to fall away, with low scores now in his 3-round rolling average. Has been well and truly shunned from the CBAs also, which is pretty alarming. Had 0% CBAs in the engine room on the weekend for the first time this year, with Stringer and the return of Merritt soaking up his time in the engine room there. Whilst his average may show 88, his 5-round average is probably a truer reflection of his form, which is 75.2 and a 3-round average of 66. And yeah, as I said, it gives that true indication of his downturn in form and overall scoring, and thus is a prime candidate to use as a stepping stone before he loses more cash.
Yep, agreed. He's been moved more to that wing role, which hasn't historically been good for his scoring. So, like, he's losing cash quite quickly. if you've held him this long. You're not getting scoring out of him. You're not getting decent scoring. And you're also just, I guess burning cash basically.
Yeah.
Move him on. Moving on to the next guy on the list, and it is Luke Davies-Uniacke. Mid-eligible, 516.6k, averaging 104 with a break-even of 161. And things have gone absolutely pear-shaped for LDU, plummeting another 43.6k after he dropped 35.4k the week prior off the back of a 59 on the weekend. He had a season high 94% CBAs on the weekend, but it did little to help him. It's a far, far cry from those 143 and 155s he scored to open the season, with his 3-round average now concerningly low at just 73.7. It's now unlikely that he's going to factor into being a top 8 scoring mid like we had hoped he would be. I think with that lower leg issues that he's been having, I think it's time to move him on as well. I think that potentially is, with 94% CBAs, you don't think that's affecting him, but it must be in some way because he's just not scoring well. He could lose another 28.3k next round with a projected score of 99. So that's considerably lower than, that's over 20 points higher, 26 points higher, the 25 points higher than his 3-round average. So it could be one to cut ties if you can get a genuine keeper, if trades and money allow.
We cut ties ahead of round 6, wasn't it?
Yep.
Round 7 when he was out. And he's already lost cash at that stage, but even lost even more than that now. But I think there comes a time where you need to, even though it's past the point of like correction trades, I think there comes a point still where you need to bite the bullet and do it. Whether it's a change in role, like, Setterfield, for example, even though he's not really a keeper, like we saw potentially LDU being. But I think the fact that he's got those issues now with his foot could crop up again. That's the other thing as well. And he only played 95 minutes on the weekend, where prior to that, he was averaging at least 105 minutes. So he's still being managed somewhat in game, even though it was a sloppy game on the weekend against the Saints. I would probably use this opportunity and his price point at the moment to try and jump across to a genuine keeper. Let's move on to Jordan Ridley, and he is, of course, a defender priced at 426.5k now, averaging a 79 with a break-even of 145. And it was an unfortunate sight for those owners and Essendon supporters alike, Liam, like yourself, that obviously held Ridley. If you did hold him, hoping rough. If you would turn around his scoring, because Rioli Jr., his act of thuggery, which is what it can be best described as, saw him subbed out of the game with a concussion, lost another 38.8k as a result, and now has a combined loss of 77.8k to date. And it does mean that he will miss the next round at minimum due to that concussion. However, it's probably a good excuse to cut him free, as he has scored above 100 just the once.
Yes.
So yeah, he's not good. He scored the 107 in round 1. And now he's not a season-long keeper. I think we made that assessment relatively early on, luckily, and saved us a bit of heartache and cash being bled. But yeah, he's just not the same. He's not in the role that we were hoping him to be.
No, definitely not. And I think with Laverty having gone down earlier, he was having to play a lot more of an accountable role. I can't see. He's going to miss, obviously, this week with concussion. If you've got him, you use it as an excuse to get rid of him. It's unfortunate. Also, just totally not on topic, I guess, on topic, but not SuperCoach. Some of the commentary from reporters on this, I think, is really, really interesting, because there were so many times where they were talking about it and they're like, oh, it's only concussion. And I'm like, that's not, like, I don't know. It's just such a weird conversation considering what we know about concussion now. Yeah. Just to be talking about it like that. I know that it was sometimes in light of, oh, it's not a broken jaw, it's only concussion, but it's like, it's not only a concussion. Like, concussion's not good.
Exactly. Yeah. People kind of lose sight of, like, what's happened to McCartan and stuff. Like, it is a pretty serious injury.
Yeah. So I think just do better, football
Fair
media.
point. Yep.
Do better.
I like it.
Let's
Put them on the chopping block.
onto the bad, the ugly. Let's move on the chopping block, as you said, Damon, and we're going to kick off with the Saints rookie, I guess, or early draft pick in Mateus Philippou, who we both axed on the weekend. Mid forward eligible, 238.9k with an average of 53.6 and a break even of 59. Now, we did speak about moving him on last week, and Damon and I both did that. And despite him putting in a half decent score by his standards with 56, he lost 12.3k. Surprisingly, though, if he can average at least 49 over the next couple of weeks, his cash generation will kickstart very slowly, but kickstart nonetheless, with his break even hovering around the 40 odd mark. Given this, he is one you could hold if you desperately needed bench cover and had other cash cows to cash in, like a Van Rooyen or a Green, or even an Owen David Jr., Damon.
I like that. Nice segue. And that's the next option up on this production line that is on the chopping block. Will he dodge it? Well, we'll have to find out if you own him. He's a mid forward. He's priced at 212k, averaging a 48 with a break even of 45. And he went up just $100. Yep, $100 after a score of 31 on the weekend. I don't think I've seen a player appreciate that little in price.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He must have just made his break. He must have been 31.
Yeah. It must have been, yeah.
Or like 30 or something. Yeah.
Classic. Surprisingly, though, his break-even could drop if he can maintain his current average of 48. So isn't an immediate sell if you have other options and cash cows to trade in that are fattened up. And if you're in need of cover as well, heading into the buys, he could be crucial. Yeah, maybe look to hold him if he does provide a little bit of cover for you across the buys. But if not, could be one to trade him because he has made 94.7k to date. However, if you're in need of funds, as I said, with no other option, he is fine to cash in.
Yeah, I'd be watching team sheets. I'm not sold that not that he doesn't hold his spot, but just that they send him back to the twos to get some form.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be watching team sheets. I'm not entirely sure he'll be great coverage until the buys and through the buys either. Wouldn't be surprised if he misses a couple of games in there.
Yep.
Let's move on to Connor McKenna, defender, 306.7k, averaging 67.8 with a break even of 57. And with Rich and Zorko out of the Lions team through injury, I was licking my lips. I thought it would be clear either way for the Irishman to put in a decent showing, but it was anything but with a putrid 46. Thankfully, the 70 from the week prior remains in his 3-round average, which means his break-even isn't too high, but his errant scoring highlights why he can no longer be trusted as a starter on field. He's one to think about cashing in and using as a stepping stone to a genuine keeper, though, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to say this and I'm going to get hurt again, but I feel like you could hold him another week just because Zorko and Rich are out, and maybe it was just an off game from McKenna.
Yep. No, I agree.
But if you're going to get him up to a genuine primo, I'd be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you're right though. Like his break even is, 10 points less than his average. So you could easily make that. And who knows? He could have a nice game. And as you say, he had a bit of an off game of the weekend. Kickstart his.
Actually, let me take a look at the defense against position.
Ah, yes, this could be a little bit of a gem.
Let's have a look. They give away the second most points.
Ooh.
So it could be in for a. That being said, Carlton give away the third most points to wing defenders, so could mean absolutely nothing.
Yep, exactly.
Oh.
But yeah, end of the day, if you want to hold him, and as well, like it will say it again, if it does help your buy structure, you can potentially hold him as well.
He's not the number one on the list, I wouldn't say.
No way. Likewise, this next guy, Lockie Cowan, defender, priced at 204.8, averaging a 44.7 with a break even of 39, and hasn't played since being rested heading into round 7 with the promising performances of Chincotta, keeping him out of the team. Not a must trade by any means, as he will, of course, not lose us any more cash with him not playing if he doesn't come back into the side. So you can probably afford to wait. But if you do need to cash in a rookie in order to make bank, Cowan is one such option.
I agree. Moving on to Will Ashcroft, mid-eligible, 373.2k, averaging 75.4 with a break-even of 71. And the highly touted youngster put in an absolute stinker against the Blues with a score of just 37, unfortunately, which has meant his cash generation has come to a halt. However, it isn't all doom and gloom. That's what I like to see. I like to see some silver linings there. As he can easily kickstart his cash gen if he can reach his average of 75 over the next couple of games. He isn't a must trade by any means, considering his scores of 105, 80, 75, 72, 76, and 103 over his previous 6 prior to the weekend. And his round 12 bye, so will come in handy across rounds 13, 14, and 15 if you're already running short of the required 18 across those bye weeks. But if you do want to trade him in now, he's already made us 170.4k, so he's a very nice stepping stone to a primo.
Yep, I like it. It kind of depends where you're at in terms of your development of your team. Like with me, for example, I can use him as a stepping stone to Jordan Dawson. So if I wasn't able to grab someone of his caliber, I would probably persist with keeping him because he would help across the buys. Like I think Wilmot, him, like McKenna as well, like Brizzy players, which a lot of people have, like at least, 1, 2, if not all of those guys can help out across the buys. So I am personally keeping hold of Wilmot of those 3 and trading in the other 2. So, or I have traded in McKenna. So keep that in mind because there has been someone that's there's been a few people, but especially coming out of my team talk. It was the team sheet announcements on Thursday in the live chat. Someone was like, can you go into detail about the buys? Like no one's doing it. No other content creators are doing it. It's like, well, there's only so much you can say. Like we can just deliver a reminder about buys and stuff and just look at it in terms of when you're trading guys into your team and who you're trading out of your team and see how it always cross-check with how it works in with your buys.
Just to speak to that slightly, it's so team dependent. Like we can't talk to a particular player in terms of buys. Like we can talk about strategy around buys, but you can't really talk to it on, don't trade in, player X because he's got the round 12 buy. It doesn't matter. Like if you can cover the round 12 buy, then trade him in. If you can't, then don't. But it's such an individual team thing that, just, I guess, to add to that.
Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all type thing. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's move on to the next category of get them in. And there's a few juicy prospects here. And first up, we have Jack Steele, obviously midfielder, priced at 524.1k, averaging a 92.2 with a break-even of 75. And if you're going to get on him now because it's the week after Liam got him. So he's due for an absolute blinder. But on the weekend, in terms of his score, we're going to blame Ross Lyon's game plan here, combined with that of the Roos game plan as well. They were virtually, I reckon both teams were like parking the bus, like in, a soccer sense or football traditional sense. They were literally just sitting in their defensive half, like, yep, no worries. We'll just allow their defense to just chip it around. And we'll just sit back and just wait for you to bomb it in. Putrid game. And we would like to see as well, I don't know if anyone has seen any stats, but in terms of the number of stoppages, I'd like to see the number of stoppages there were on the weekend because I don't reckon there were many. There were so many marks on the weekend, just free flowing. It's amazing, which probably would lend into the fact that if there's less stoppages, there's less chance of guys like Steele and the like performing well. And I think Crouch and Co as well, like on the whole, didn't perform well. So it wasn't just isolated to Jack Steele. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, nonetheless, that going into the weekend, Steele did average a 113 against the Roos, only scored the 95, of course. But despite that score, in context, it wasn't that bad considering he had the lowest time on ground of any of his games with just 86%, which is even lower than his injury game. And his points per minute was a pleasing 1.1, which for context, comparing it with someone like a Dawson, he's got a 1.2. So if he was to play more game time, his score obviously would have been a little bit more favorable, maybe up towards that 110, 115 mark. And we probably wouldn't even be critiquing him. But pleasingly, must say, he also had the most CBAs with 81% compared to the next best in Sinclair and Crouch, who had 63% apiece. So the role is definitely still there, so no concerns over that. And his ownership grew from 1.5 to 6%. So is still a relative pod and comes in 13.1K cheaper than last week. But a break-even of 75 means the time to get him in is now, if you can, because this might be the cheapest we see him all season.
Yep, get him in. Get him in the week after I get him in. So you could. Yeah, I mean, I was cursing him, but a score of 95 in the end wasn't too bad considering I think he was, I don't even know. It's pretty low early on.
And just to look at that as well, like as I was touching on in terms of
Crouch 94.
Teammates. Yeah, Crouch 94.
Sinclair 99.
There's Sinclair 99. There wasn't anyone else that really.
And I guess in context of that mark, Wilkie back up at 123.
Yeah.
I mean, Zeeble being an absolute seagull as well, 179.
Yeah, Stocker 16 marks.
Yeah.
103. Wanganeen, Millerer 11 marks, 97. So it was just a piggish game from all defenders on both sides, as you say. So
yeah, Sheasel, Zeeble, McDonald, all above 97. Core 79.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
interesting. Let's move on to the next guy. Not a defender, a ruckman. Max Gawn, 512.8K, averaging 89.6 with a break-even of 108. And he absolutely lived up to expectations. As we highlighted in last week's ep, eclipsing that 124.2 average he holds against the Suns with a score of 130. He went up 11K and faces the Hawks this week. We averages a whopping 140.4 against across 9 games with scores of 172, 95, and 172 in his last 3 encounters. But keep in mind, defense against position. Going to come back to it. The Hawthorn give away the least points to opposition ruck. Who did they play on the weekend?
Rio and Darcy.
And Darcy.
7.
Exactly. Not good.
No.
Not good. And I think, wasn't it English lost his ton run to the Hawks as well? So yeah, keep that in mind. I mean, if he brings them down from 172 to 130, you'd be laughing. But anyway, keep in mind, obviously, that Gawn's average includes that 0. So that 89.6 average includes a 0 from his injury-affected game. So when we take that into consideration, his scores read 140, 98, 80, and 130 for, I guess, a true average of 112, which highlights how extremely underpriced he actually is. So if you have Grundy, get him in. Get him in.
Absolutely. That's a taking out that 0. That's a average.
There's
of
no
23 points difference, like in terms of the true average compared to his, I guess the average that includes that 0.
Yeah.
So it shows I'd like to see what his true price actually should be if we take out the 0. But yeah, it'd be up there. It'd be pushing at least 600K. Like it's incredible. It's
also interesting seeing, like, he might, like, if you're playing for league, he might hurt you a little bit because there's a bit of variability in that scoring, 140, 98, 80, 130. But if you're playing for overall, like, it averages out to 112. It's great. So maybe something to keep in mind if you are playing for leagues, you may want to look for someone that's less variability in your scoring. Obviously affected by Grundy as well in that team, you'd expect.
Yep, no, for sure. I mean, that round 12 can't come quick enough if he gets forward eligibility because it'd be super juicy. I've seen some people trading out Marshall to Gawn and like banking 70K or thereabouts. Don't know about that.
I'm not sold. Not sold on that.
Let's move on to the next guy, and it is Noah's Ark, aka Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson, welcome back. We missed you.
Which that's Agent Smith from, if you didn't get that, from The Matrix. He's sitting down at the table. Mr. Anderson, we've been watching you, and it's I forget the actor's name, but he is an Aussie, and Hugo Weaving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, classic. One of his best roles ever. Apart from The Dressmaker he was in.
Yes.
Have you seen the dress?
Was he
Oh, no, I haven't
also?
seen it.
Was he in was he the
Priscilla?
Red Scar?
Yes, he was. Yes. I've just gone through.
You gone through like all of the
I've named the two roles where he plays like a gay character, which is like in Priscilla. And
yeah,
he's in Priscilla. Is he Priscilla?
I think he's in Priscilla.
Or am I thinking of, I know Guy Pearce is. I'm pretty sure he is. And then I'm thinking of, this has gone into movie chat now, but the dressmaker, he plays a police officer.
Yeah, he's in Priscilla. I just looked at him. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. See,
Looked him up. Yeah, you nailed it there.
I haven't lost my movie magic, my
No.
movie buff. Even though I haven't actually seen Priscilla, I know he's in it. And Mr. Anderson, of course, is aka Neo, Keanu Reeves. He is a midfielder. He's priced at 605k, averaging a 115 with a break-even of 9. So the rise of Mr. Anderson, sorry, I'm going to say this every single time for the past 5 weeks, has been incredible with scores of 134, 109, 89, 144, and a whopping 189. But take note, the absence of Touk Miller, the running man, may be having a favorable impact on him with his 144 and 189 scored without the running man in the team. So could this see his score regress once he returns to the side? But either way, he currently sits as the 5th highest scoring midfielder and faces a struggling West Coast this weekend. So a juicy prospect to bring in potentially.
The only thing, when did Touk Miller go down?
A couple of weeks ago.
So the 134 and 109 were before Touk. Were with Touk, weren't they?
Yes, they were with him. Yeah. So he
Yeah,
went down
so-
round 6 when he had the downer at of 89.
Yeah, okay, so interesting. So it's not necessarily, and I don't think it's as big an issue. I mean, obviously he's not going to score. I mean, obviously 144 and 189 seems to correlate the fact that Touk Miller's not there. But it doesn't seem like his scoring's that bad in recent weeks, even when he has been in the team. So I don't mind it. If he's currently the 5th highest scoring mid, get him in now, bank those points before Miller comes back, and then ride out a couple of, I mean, if he averages between 134 and 89, what's that? 110? Like, I'd be happy with that.
Yep.
Anyway, let's move on to Jack Sinclair, defensive eligible, 544.1k, averaging 101.1 with a break-even of 100. And I can't believe Sinks is still popping up as such a value selection. He is the 7th highest scoring defender and has a break-even teetering around his average for the past 3 weeks. Scored 99 against the Roos and faces the Crows, who he has scores of 76, 126, and 138 against in his last 3. So if you are in need of a keeper to shore up your defense, look no further. He is a great price.
Yep, I like it. Even though he hasn't hit the ceiling scores that we've liked, especially last year, he's been consistent, as you mentioned there and highlight there. So he is a very nice option. Let's move on to another good option, and it is Andrew Brayshaw as a midfielder, priced at 531.3, averaging a 98.4 with a break-even of 54. So he scored a 149 on the weekend against the Hawks and sees his break-even slide down to 54. Has lost 84.3k overall, and off the back of that, looks to be a bargain. And Longmuir has said publicly a few weeks back that Brayshaw was dealing with a fitness issue. He didn't delve into what it was. So this may be an indication that potentially he's back to full fitness off the back of the weekend. However, prior to the big score on the weekend, keep in mind he's only scored 100 plus in 2 out of the previous 7 games. So has he really arrested his form slump? I think a lot of people, there's a lot of what we call recency bias in a numbers sense when it comes to SuperCoach. A lot of people see, oh yeah, he's posted a massive score, and they just completely ignore the rest of the games and what he's averaged in those games. So I don't think we're out of the woods just yet. But I mean, it is, you got to look at his break even as well. And it is obviously low. So if he does score well again, you could potentially have to pay up for him if you opt to wait. So, I mean, that's kind of what you're weighing up. But for me, speaking as a previous owner from last year, I had a fair bit of up and down. He was a roller coaster, Andy Brayshaw. So I'm keen to wait. And I think the progression of Sarong has almost eaten into a bit of his game and stolen a little bit of the points that he had almost a stranglehold on last year. He was virtually the only, I mean, him and what's his name, who crossed over from, I forget his name already because he's not playing.
Will Brody.
apart from him, he just had bulk points galore. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit unsure about Brayshaw, but I can see the appeal.
I agree. I mean, 149 against the Hawks, they give away the fourth most points, I think, to mids. And then outside of that, 98, 89, 77, 114, 84 against West Coast, 106 and 70. Like, I think it's like you said, it's kind of that recency bias, one big score, nothing else really. I personally probably want to avoid him. But I don't know. I've never had him in my side. I've never really wanted to pick him. I don't know why. But yeah, so one to consider there.
Heard me rabbiting on about it last year.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know. His break-even is 54. I mean, take the risk if you want. Take the risk. I hope it pays off. Moving on to another midfielder, Clary Oliver, the sweaty pig, 652k, averaging 126 with a break-even of 99. And now if you did wait a week on the pink sweaty pig, you've just saved yourself $500. Not much. But you missed out on his second highest score of the season in that 136 points. Does mean his break-even now sits at 99 and indicates this is well and truly the last chance to jump on the back of this pink sweaty pig for a piggyback ride to ride him out into the sunset as you sip on some juicy pig juice.
I was waiting for you to say pina coladas or something, but no, yeah.
No. Why would you want a pina colada? You're just going to get some pig juice, just squeeze him out.
In fact, just sink your teeth straight into his hind.
Oh yeah,
and then just suck out the pig juice, as Jonas Goat mentioned on in the comments on YouTube. He's like, Damo sucks the pig juice direct from the hiney. I was like, very good, straight from the hiney. And oh boy, it was worth it. Or sticking yeah,
like a straw. Yeah.
I was gonna say a straw, but then where would you? Yeah, no.
Hey, okay, yeah. Moving on to the bubble. Damon, do you want to kick us off with some rookies?
Yes, there are a couple of rookies here. We're getting quite dry here, but need a bit of pig juice to wet the whistle, as they say. But let's kick it off with going from a pig to a rat, as they call him. And he looks a bit like a rat, I must say. Apologies, Rory, but you do. Rory Atkins, he is a defensive midfielder. Look at him. He's interesting. He
looks looking him up.
He looks like a bit of a thumb as well.
It is not a good day to be Rory Atkins on this podcast.
No, apologies, mate. He is a
bless.
defensive midfielder. He's priced at 203.9k, averaging a 78.5, and his break-even is a negative 42. So the former Crow has been anything but a reliable commodity for the Suns since crossing over, playing just 17 games across his 2 seasons since arriving. However, with scores of 89 and 68 on the weekends since breaking into the Suns lineup, he now presents us with a unique cash cow option with a low break-even, albeit at a higher price point. If he can maintain an average of around 64 over the next 4 weeks, he could make 100k heading into his bye round in round 13. Will be available for the crucial round 14 and 15 buys, where most of us will be hardest hit. So it comes with that added bonus. But as above, his job security to date has been super shaky. So it's something to consider long and hard, as that is the biggest risk here, given we're expected to fork out more cash compared to a standard rookie price cash cow. And I mentioned to you as well, I think it was Liam. Did I mention to you? Or maybe it was just in my head. But in terms of, it could have been that. But in terms of historically, he hasn't scored well.
Yes, you did mention this, yeah.
Yeah, whilst he was at the Crows. I think maybe his highest average is around about 70 odd, which I think, with, as I mentioned there, with what he's expected, if he can score around about 64, that's all we need to make 100k over the next month. But who's to say one of those scores could be a shit one, and it's really going to plummet it's going to make his break-even rise, and his cash gen's going to plummet. So yeah, I don't know. I was in the camp of a yes, but now I think I am very much...
Got yourself out of it.
Yeah, I've talked myself out of it, and I prefer to go for a jury, because I feel his job security, being as a youngster in North's lineup, there's more potential of him playing games and being blooded compared to Rory Atkins. I think he came in off the back of... Who went out? Was it Weller? It might have been.
Weller went out No, Weller went out last just on the weekend.
He's taken someone's spot, and I can't recall who it is. Yeah, I can't recall who it was, but
I'll have a look back. Yeah.
But he's taken someone's spot as well. It was kind of like coincided with a player going out, and it does make me fearful that, again, this is kind of like another Corey Wagner type scenario where he's warming the seat of a regular 22, best 22 player, and could be out of the side. So I don't know. Just he hasn't been in Dew's good books for, God knows how many seasons, like 2 seasons now that he's been there. What's changed? Like, why now? Why didn't he start in round 1 in the starting 22? So I have my doubts. But I mean, having said that, he could make 100K over the next 4 weeks, which could be tasty. But by the same token, you still need someone. It's all well and good to make cash, but heading into the buys, we need these guys playing as well off the bench.
Agreed.
So I can't guarantee that's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. Not one that I'm probably considering. I might think about it, but I think I'd rather, like you said, go to a Blake Drury. Gonna get you a lot more cash, 100 extra K basically.
Yeah, that's
just in the initial trade out, like that's a lot more handy. Does go against the rule of don't trade in rookies early, but sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah, people are going early as well. Like I think he's the most traded in player.
Yeah.
At the moment, and he's already in 15% of teams. So yeah, that's a Drury, that is. And yeah, he's I mean, you look at his projections, and they've only got him SuperCoach Plus, got him scoring at 25. But if he can score a 51, like if he can average a 64, he's gonna go up double compared to Atkins.
Yeah,
because he's half the price. So, yeah, I think there's greater likelihood of him making more cash and staying in the team. But that's just
no, definitely. Let's move on to the other cash cow that we can chat about, and it is Josh Weddle, defender from Hawthorn, 130.8K, averaging 46 with a break even of -18. Weddle sounds like a Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah, Weddle. I don't know if it is, but
I think
Weddle.
it is.
Weddle.
Weedle, I think it is.
Weedle. It's Weedle. Yeah, Weedle.
Weedle. It's like the little worm thing with a spike.
Yeah, with a spike at the back. Yeah.
And then he turns into Kakuna, Caterpie, Beedrill, and Butterfree.
Yeah. You go.
These are the stages. That's his final form. So what is Weedle's
final form?
What's Weddle's final form, do you think?
I don't know. I'll let you ponder that while I go to talk about him a little bit more. He has scored 38 out of 54 in his first 2 games since breaking into the Hawks team. He's projected to rise 23.2K this week if he can score a 33, but does face a tough assignment against the Ds. His job security is probably still up in the air, but we all know with the Hawks, they are in a rebuild phase, and Sam Mitchell should, you'd expect, be giving ample opportunity to the younger players as much as possible to see what they're made of. Now, Damon, I've got a what is his final form?
Sorry, I stuffed that up. So it actually goes from Weddle to Kakuna, then to Beedrill.
Oh yes.
So or Beedrill. I don't know how you say it, but yeah, he's pretty much becomes a wasp with like drill bits as arms. So I reckon that's pretty much his final form. But his final form, I think, will be maybe a cash cow that will make us some money.
Yeah.
But it's going to be slow going, I think, just with the role that he's in. I don't know. What do you think? You reckon he can?
Yeah.
I reckon that must mean that his final form is probably a Kakuna, and he won't get out of his cocoon and become a genuine.
I'm a bit worried. It's like anyone that starts this late in the season, like they're not first choice. Kind of there because they might have shown form in the VFL or they might have been injured. But I mean, he was in talks for a round 1. Yeah. I mean, we all thought he was going to debut round 1. So yeah, a slight concern on job security. But I think if you're going to have a team that's going to not drop the rookies, it is probably a Hawthorn or a North Melbourne where they need to blood those young players. Let's move on to the weight category, and these are the rookies that are on the horizon. And Damon, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, normally we just name these guys, but we'll go into a little bit more detail slightly with, as we've spoken to him already about him, Blake Drury, midfielder forward, and his bottom price at 102.4K, scored a 51 on the weekend and looked pretty good for a first game. I had a ping at goal as well, a fiery little redhead as well. He reminds me of a bit of almost like a Gary Moorcroft type.
Yes.
Type player. And he actually, I thought he was going to be like just stationed up forward as a small forward. No, he actually pushed up the ground and then ran back as well. So looked pretty good. Almost was a bit of a wingman. So it could potentially rack up the pill at will. Poet didn't know it. And one to watch, I think, if he can hold his spot. And you'd think he does because, yeah, as I said, he looked pretty good. And yeah, like you mentioned as well, Hawthorn North, they've got to blood these youngsters. And I think North are kind of off the back of winning their first two games. I think Clarkson's realised now, okay, I probably should be playing more of the younger guys because he ended up recruiting Liam Shield from the Hawks and a few others that he's been playing, Greenwood and the like. But now, yeah, he's got the youngsters playing in and amongst it.
And also, I guess they've got an older. They've been quite old in their age demographic in terms of teams as well. I mean, obviously, it's probably dragged up by the likes of Goldstein and the like. But still, you probably want to be making sure those youngsters are getting a go, considering where they're at.
Yep, absolutely, very good point. Amongst those others to keep an eye on ahead of next week, which we will potentially touch on if they can eke out a second game, and it is Tom Berry, Harry Sharp, Oliver Dempsey, and Dan Turner. So, Liam, now I think it's time, isn't it, for the next segment, which I've only been captain of once, and I'll let you say it because this week you are.
I am the captain now. Arr.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
just threw the random R in as well. I like that. Wait, do that again. It didn't come through. Oh, it's not coming through the podcast mic for some reason.
No.
I reckon it's too high pitched. I reckon it's like a background noise. Maybe if you do it closer to the mic.
Toot toot.
There we go. That's worked that time. See, the people watching us on YouTube will be like, I can see him doing the motion. I know what the sound is. But those listening to the podcast, they'll just be dead air and they're like, what the hell's going on? So we're just doing it for you.
Just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. But yeah, we're doing it for you, the good people of the listeners, the listenership. So hopefully you're appreciative of the Steamboat Willie impersonation there, by the way.
Steamboat Willie, back again.
Yeah.
Let's move. Let's jump into it. I'm the captain now. We chat about what VC and C options we've got for the upcoming round of SuperCoach, and as always, we've scrounged through the data and we found some juicy options for you to consider. And let's kick off with some vice captaincy options on Friday night. Double header, 7:20 MCG. Well, not really a double header because they're at different grounds, but two games on the Friday night. 7:20. I'm pretty sure they overlap as well, so no way a double header. 7:20 MCG, Richmond up against Geelong. We got Tommy Stewart. He has an average of 124.5 in his last four against the Tigers, with scores of 161, 62, 118, and 127 in his past four. And Richmond also give away the most points to general defenders. So it could be a nice little Friday night VC for you.
I like it. He is a definite option. Interesting as well. I don't know why have they gone with two Friday night games.
Because of Mother's Day.
Ah, okay.
I think they're trying to reduce the number of Saturday games. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. Mother's Day. That's right. Geez, better get a gift. There's a warning for all of you out there listening. Get your mother a gift. Don't forget. So yes, West Coast Eagles up against the Suns on Friday at 8:40 at Optus Stadium. And first up, we have Noah Anderson. Mr. Anderson. He has an average of 85.25 in his last four games against the Eagles, with scores of 106, 105, 55, and 75. And yeah, as you can see, there hasn't been the rosiest, but West Coast give away the second most points to inside midfielders and holds a 3-round average of 140.7 does Mr. Anderson. So he is someone to consider. So he's already enough of a pod as he is, but as a VC pod.
VC pod, that'd be huge.
Well, it'd be good. It'd be very, very huge.
In that same game, let's move on. We've got Jared Witts. He has an average of just 92 in his last 4 against the Eagles with scores of 131, 85, 75, and 77. And just on top of that, West Coast give away the most points to opposition ruckman because they're pretty much going up against, is it Bailey Williams? Is that their ruckman?
Yeah, that's his name. Yep.
Yeah, bless his soul. Imitates
Poor
ruckman. So yeah, Jared Witts could be in for a big one. Obviously scored that 131 last season, so has a bit of a backing there in that he can score big.
Yep. Up against the inanimate carbon rod. Although to his credit, he's actually been going well compared to the previous season where he played a couple of games and looked putrid. So he's upped his game, but yeah, still conceding a lot of points to opposition ruckman. Let's move on to the next game, and it is the Hawks up against the D's on Saturday at 4:35 p.m. at ZG. And there's a couple of juicy options here. First and foremost, we have the pink sweaty pig himself. Just snout and trough action, and we could get that yet again. Has an average of 123.5 in his last 4 games against the Hawks with scores of 119, 115, 139, and 121 in his past 4. And the Hawks give away the 4th most points to inside mid. So, yeah, he could be gorging himself on points.
Get some pig juice in you. Christian Petrarca has an average of 131 in his last 4 against the Hawks with scores of 131, 108, 125, and 160 in his last 4. That's some good scores there. Hawthorn also, as we said, give away the 4th most points to inside mids. So if you got Petrarca, not a bad VC option.
Yeah. Exactly.
Bit of a late VC as well on Saturday at 4:35.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's interesting. But I like them. Both good options. Let's move on to the captaincy options. And we have here, obviously, these are the later games. So we've got Lions up against your mob in Zidons on Saturday at 7:25 p.m. at ZG. And Lachie Neale, he has an average of, believe it or not, 150.25 in his last 4 games against the Dons with scores of 89, 198, and 2 scores of 157. Very nice. Those last 3, geez, if you're licking your lips at that. And he actually holds his best average against the Dons out of all opposition teams with a 123.8 average from his 13 encounters. So it extends beyond just those 4 games there. So very nice. But remember, he was tagged the last time they played by Caldwell, wasn't it? And to great effect for a score of 89, and Setters has taken that tagging role in weeks gone by. So one to consider. I mean, we can only just remember that he did a bit of a number on Clarke himself before the pig was let off the leash and just went oink, oink, oinking around the park and just oinked his way to a nice, respectable score. But it's meant to be a wet night, this one. So could be some good snout in trough action for Neale, imitating a pig. And this next guy on the list, Liam.
Josh Dunkley. He's got a nice average against the Dons as well. 114.75 in his last 4, made up of scores of 139, 75, 153, and 92. And he had a big score on the weekend as well, so could back it up against the Dons in the wet. Yeah, I think it's about a 32% chance of rain at 8 o'clock at night. So right on game time.
Jeez, you just got a direct line
Bunn.
to Jane Bunn. Yeah.
Yeah, she just let me know.
Wow.
She didn't tell me about this game, it's just this one.
Oh, just that one.
Yeah.
Is she a Dons fan, maybe?
No, she just she makes me pay for the others, and I just said, can I pay her for one?
Oh, okay. Not paying for the rest. Otherwise, you just threaten her and say, I'll go to Lavinia Nixon.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or Tom Brown. Get the weather off him.
Tom Brown.
Be just as accurate. Let's move on to Zach Merritt, and he has an average of 120.25 against the Lions in his last 4 games with scores of 117, 147, a 130, and an 87, and has his best average against the Lions of any side with an average of 114.8 from 11 encounters. So very nice. Yes.
Moving on to Saturday night, 7:30. Same game, same time, sorry. But at Marvel Stadium, it's Carlton, your mob, up against the Western Bulldogs. And first of all, we've got Marcus Bontempelli. He averages 120 in his last 4 against the Blues with scores of 105, 155, 116, and 104. And believe it or not, he scored a ton in every one of his past 8 games against them with extended scores of 112, 145, 124, and 120, giving him an average of 122.6 across this stretch.
I really like the emphasis is on the one. It's not 226. Could have been.
Well, it's not. It's not good enough. It should be 226.
So many ones.
So many ones.
I won't put it past him. He could actually do that against my mob, who were absolutely putrid on the weekend. But yeah, he's got a sizable, like Zachary Merritt against the Lions, he's got a sizable history against my mob. So factor him in highly. We're moving on to Tim English, and he averages a 106 in his last 4 games against Carlton with scores of 99, 105, 99, and a 121. He started his run of scores of 120 once again on the weekend, having eclipsed 130 points per round in every game bar one prior to that. So he's looked pretty good. I mean, probably that's the main reason why we're listing him here. Because he could go bananas again.
Yes, very true. And just a bit of a cheeky option if you do have one of these two in Sard or Doc. The Western Bulldogs give away the most points to designated kick-in takers. So, I mean, if you want to go for a late VC on a Saturday night, if you've got, Madden for GWS on Sunday at 4:40, you could go very late with your VC if you want to play a bit of a risky game there. But yeah, just a bit of a throwaway comment, I guess.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. Left field, out of the box thinking for those Potter lovers out there. But let's move on to Adelaide against the Saints on Sunday at 1:10 p.m. at Adelaide Oval. And first up, we have Rory Laird, and he has an average of 113 in his last 4 games against the Saints with scores of 105, 132, a 91, and a 124. Has been out of form of sorts. Obviously he was dealing with a niggle a couple of weeks back, played on the weekend as well, but was down on form, only punched out of 102. So it's probably a matter of time before he punches out his usual big scores. So if you're banking on that, his number's going to come up again soon. So who knows?
Yes, yep, very true. And one for you, Damon, Jordan Dawson coming into your side. He's got an average of 95 in his last 4 games against the Saints with scores of 139, 89, 85, 67. But we know that he can score big with 4 of his last 5 scores 120 plus.
I'm sad there was only the 139. There was only the 1 3-figure score there. But yeah. Oh well. Yeah, he's one to think about because he has gone bananas. And I was looking at him today, obviously not whilst I was driving. It was afterwards, after I did these numbers and figures in my head. Because I was like, I wonder what he's actually averaging overall in terms of his points. So his season ranking, he's first overall in defense, and he's third also in the midfield, being obviously a DPP player. So that's how high he's scoring. Incredible. So off the chain, back in the midfield, taking kick-ins as well. So he just does it all. Let's round it out by delving into the last game. It is Collingwood up against the Giants on Sunday at 4:40 p.m. at the G. And it is none other than Nick Daicos. Has only played the Giants, though, only once for a score of 93. But we know he can score big when playing without the tag, but his most recent games with the tag have shown he's susceptible with his lower scores of 72 and 81. So does it continue? Potentially. There are a few options there for the Giants to use as a bit of a tag. Perryman, Ash, maybe another one. So yeah, look out for that. But GWS give away the second least points also to wing defenders. So there's a couple of things going against him there. Could make him a pod. And being in the last game of the round, Liam, fraught with danger. Don't know why, but it is.
It's such a weird, such
Did
a
we make
weird
it up?
rule.
I reckon we might.
I never noticed it until you said it, and now I think
it on
about
Twitter though, and Big Footy.
Yeah, no. I never noticed that I don't do it until you said it.
Yeah.
And then I realized that it's it wasn't even a rule in my head. It was just like something I just automatically did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can go Nick Daicos. I feel like it's a bit burnt almost. At this stage. Let's jump into a little captaincy head-to-head, Damon.
Shall we?
Shall we?
Give you a little bit of a pep in your step.
Well,
summed up nicely by me. I initially picked Bont, and I remember saying, doesn't matter who I'm going to pick because Clarke's going to absolutely pick it up and outscore them easily. And what did I do? I switched last second from Bont to Walsh. And Bont would have actually secured me the win over you because he scored a 164 compared to Clarke's 136. But alas, I got seduced by the great man, the Messiah in Walshy. So I don't know. Can you blame me? Probably.
No.
Yeah. No.
No. I would have taken it. I reckon it was not a bad option. Not a bad option.
Yeah. Bit of a pod. I felt like a bit of a pod.
I like it. All right. So you got the first pick this week. Obviously you can't pick Walshy again. So who are you going to take? Who's it going to be?
Do I go back to the well? Do I go back to the trough?
Is it just going to be just each week whoever gets to pick first gets to pick Clarke?
Gets to pick Clarke. Although I would have undid you on the weekend, but I haven't. I've got a thirst for the pig juice, so I have to go him again. I have to.
What's his name? Clarke.
Yeah,
Clarke Oliver.
What's his name? The pig, sweaty pig.
What's his name? What's his actual name? I referred to him I realized that I think it's only us that calls him the pink sweaty pig. And the other day at work, I was like, oh yeah, Piggy Oliver. And they were like, that's not a nice thing to say. I was like, yeah, probably a good point. Probably a good point.
Classic. Or if you're like, it could be worse though, because our father-in-law, I don't know if you heard him, he referred to him as the spotted pig. And I was like, oh, are you referring to his freckles? And he was like, yeah. I was like, that's worse. Like, we're just referring to his complexion when he gets really, really hot. His skin turns pink like a pig. He's sweaty. He sweats it up. And he's a pig because he loves like gorging on points. He's just an absolute fantasy and SuperCoach pig. And he looks like an oinker. Or going through the under-18s. Going through the under-18 championships. He admits it. Although recently he was on a podcast and he admitted that. Did you read about this?
Yeah.
This is serious. This is like terrible.
It's pretty harsh. Yeah.
I can't remember who the bloke was, but he was doing an interview with Sydney Swans and they were virtually like, why are you so fat? And he was like,
can you?
I don't know. And he's like, you got to lose some weight, like if you want to make the, the top tier AFL. And he's like, yeah. And he burst into tears. Like, fuck, I don't blame him. Like, it's a wonder that he didn't like shatter his dreams off the back of that. Like, what an absolute prick of a bloke.
I don't get it.
Sydney. Yeah.
Surely it doesn't anyway. Yeah.
But must have been, he was overweight, but like, you don't call him fat and you don't
just be like, oh yeah, it's not exactly. Yeah.
And then Clarke like himself was like, well, it's obvious they're not going to take me. So he was just like, pretty much, fuck you. And now he can just like pretty much just every time he like plays the Swans, he should just do an old Mr. Bean, just like do this in the coach's box. They're like, oh yeah, who's fat now?
Yeah.
Who's oinking it up
now?
Yeah, who's the pig now? I'm still the pig, but I'm pigging it up at SuperCoach.
Yeah.
Classic. But who are you going? Sorry, you've got
I am going to go for the person that I will name at the end of this
sentence.
Sentence. Who is Lockie Neale? Done. Lockie Neale.
Okay.
Lock him in.
Done.
Lockie,
you know what firsthand.
Lockie him in.
Oh, Lockie him in. Very good. Firsthand being a Dons man, so I would have been surprised if he went elsewhere.
He is going to kill us.
Yep.
Absolutely kill us.
He's gonna have you, Lockie him in, and he's gonna have you kneeling before him. Like a king.
Yes.
Like King Charles. Anyway, let's round out because we're taking up people's valuable time. And my SD card's about to run out as well. Let's how are we going in terms of head-to-head? I am 2 wins, 5 losses. You are 5 wins, 2 losses. And the total is now, what's that differential?
Quick maths, 93.
93. Damn it, went the other way.
I did also use a calculator, just FYI.
I thought I saw you like toggling off screen there. Very good. Well, Liam, because I was about to ask you, I was like, hey, you just using your own arithmetic? And I was going to say, tell me. I got to know.
Hey, I got to know.
And I got to know We throw it open to you, the good folk of the SuperCoach Edge community, and we answer your burning questions. And Damon, we've got SuperCoach Pleb here at SuperCoach Pleb on Twitter, and he asks, Christ, where do I begin? Would you rather keep McKenna or Wilmot for one more round? Yours sincerely, my team is shit.
Is that his team name? Very applicable, if so. And must have mentioned this guy as well, SuperCoach Pleb at SuperCoach Pleb. Give him a follow on Twitter because we obviously are quite big fans of Simpsons and all things Simpsons memes that we try at a time with SuperCoach gags. And he also does likewise. He creates quite a few SuperCoach Simpsons themed gags and memes on Twitter. So check him out. So love your work that you do, SuperCoach Pleb. Liam?
I also like just the fact that that was written as a letter.
Oh, yes.
I rate that. Can everyone please start doing that?
Yeah, you do that and you get it read out.
Yeah, you'll definitely get on. Okay, let's actually answer the question. Would you rather keep McKenna or Wilmot for one more round? I want to keep, I've got McKenna, so I'm going to keep McKenna. But if I had both, I'd probably want to keep McKenna an extra round. But it's much of a muchness. The only reason I want to keep McKenna is just I feel like there's opportunity there for him to score better than what he did. Whereas Wilmot is scoring well, but there's the upside, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But it's a real coin flip. If I was trading out one, it's really much of a muchness, I think. Yeah.
I think it comes down to who you're fielding as well.
Yeah.
Like McKenna, obviously more upside there with a higher score. Wilmot, he's scoring around about 50, 60 thereabouts. That's pretty much his ceiling. His high score has been 69, which dinner for two back in round 3. But yeah, I don't know. I think McKenna, if he's on field, if you're trading McKenna and it meant that you say have to switch Wilmot on field, I wouldn't be doing that. But I think much for muchness. They both play for the same side. They're both going to be having the same bye week. And they could both hold their price. I think they probably will, both of them. I'd say keep. Oh, in my case, I got rid of McKenna just because it's high price point. You're able to cash in more, and you could potentially use him as a bigger stepping stone. Right.
So again,
good cover.
Looking at Essendon wing defenders score second highest against the Dons, the Dons give away second most points to get wing defenders. So it kind of benefits them both in that sense because they're both attacking. One's a wing and one's a attacking defender. So much of a muchness as well there.
Yep. No, I agree there. So let's move on to the next question. Has been sent in by Jack Jones at Jack John 074445527 beep boop beep boop. Could be a bot, but I can verify that he's not, unless of course he could be AI. Like ChatGPT is getting pretty sophisticated, so who knows?
Coming to us for answers.
Yeah, interesting. He's compiling a little bit of data. I see what you're doing there, ChatGPT. You can't fool us, mate. But this bloke / bot did slide into my DMs and pretty much posed the same question. And I think he settled on what he's asked here. Sorry, I probably should read out the question. He said, hey, gents, would you rather A or B? So A is trading out Ridley, Ginbey, and Wilmot for Atkins, Drury, and Dawson. Or option B, which is trading out Ridley and Ginbey for Goulden and Atkins. I said to him in the DMs, go for the higher value keeper, which in this case is Dawson.
Yeah.
Even though you're using a boost, you're getting in Drury, who could prove to be one of the better cash cows at this point of the season. Atkins is a bit 50-50, as we spoke about earlier, but again, could potentially provide a little bit of cover if he can keep his spot and could still eke out about 100K. So there's upside there compared to Goulden. It's interesting you haven't got him because we spoke about it earlier that everyone should have him. But you could potentially hold on Goulden. He's only got that he's got, what was the shit score that he had? 47. It drops down to his price cycle now. I see. Conundrum. His break-even, Goulden, is 3 heading into the weekend, and he could potentially go up 58K if he scores a 130 odd. But it's going to level out over the next couple of weeks anyway. I think go for Dawson. He is a higher value commodity compared to Goulden, I think. DPP as well. And yeah, I'd be going for A.
Yes.
What are you writing down there? Are you crunching numbers?
I'm just trying to crunch numbers super quickly, so bear with me.
Whilst you're doing that, I'll just read out what he's slid into my DMs. He's sent me a really suspect picture as well, which was unsolicited. He didn't actually, just having a bit of a gag there, Jack Jones. But I said to him also as well, like, look in terms of, again, how it fits in with your buy structure. And he said the other option that he does have is potentially trading out, what was it? So it was, this is the other option as well. Still bringing in Dawson, Atkins, and Drury. Still trading out Ridley, but also trading out Davey and Ashcroft. And that would leave him with 53K. So it's Ashcroft and Davey instead of, what was it there? Thinking back across.
Jinby and Wilmot.
Jinby and Wilmot.
No, I would prefer Jinby and Wilmot out, I think.
And it depends as well, like how much cash you have left over from the Jinby Wilmot, which I'm guessing won't be much. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And Davey's about 70K.
Or he said he can potentially do McKenna instead of Ashcroft. So it could be Ridley, Davey, and McKenna for Dawson, Drury, and Atkins, which I don't mind. I'd probably prefer to keep Ashcroft over McKenna.
Yeah.
Just because Ashcroft's got a higher ceiling.
Yeah. So sorry, what was that one? Ashcroft?
The second one or the first
No,
one?
just the one you just said just then.
It was Ridley, Davey, and McKenna for Dawson, Atkins, and Drury.
I think I prefer that one.
Yep.
It's hard to know without seeing a team though, but like visualizing it, but I think that one's probably the one I prefer most. McKenna, Davey, and Ridley out.
I think either option A, which is Ridley, Jinby, Wilmot for Atkins, Drury, and Dawson, or go for the Ridley, Davey, and
McKenna.
Just because Davey, as you mentioned as well, could be out of the side for the Dons.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much made all the cash that he's going to make. Like, he's not going to make any more, whereas I think Jinby could potentially make more. Wilmot, I think, as well, potentially if there's an out of the box game.
Jinby's also just going to play. Like, West Coast is in such dire straits. Like, he needs to play.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Davey is a sure thing. And McKenna, I'd rather Ashcroft over McKenna.
Yep. No, I like it.
I'd rather keep Ashcroft over McKenna. I think there's more upside with Ashcroft.
Yep. Let's do it. Let's shake on it.
Yeah.
This is your own coming through.
Yeah.
I don't know if that worked. But I don't know. If you put your arm to the opposite side, out of frame.
One eternity later.
All the way out, like
just keep going. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
there we
yes.
go. Yes, there we are. And this is me going, hey, g'day, mate.
Okay.
There we go. That didn't work at all. Sorry. I'll probably cut that out of the podcast because people were like, what the fuck are you doing?
Let's jump into the outro.
Let's jump into it. So before we wrap things up, of course, because we are getting well off track, let's run through our SuperCoach Edge Cup group results after round 8. The SuperCoach Edge Cup public group leader this week is also the top scorer of the week.
I love it when that happens.
Such was his huge round. Took out both titles. And it is someone that is in one of my cash leagues that I've been in for quite a while. And it is Rehab with his team, Colin Good, with a round score of 2,628, if you don't mind, with a total score of 18,400. His overall rank, get this, last week he was 119th overall. He's gone into the top 15. He's now ranked 15th overall. Jeez, what a title to have.
Love it.
Just an honor to have him as part of our public group. Jeez, he's well and truly kicking away. He's got down the straight. So I've looked at his team as well, and he's looking pretty good. He reckons he's got a bit of a tin ass, that he's on a bit of a lucky streak, but no, he's gone from strength to strength. So bring her home, Colin Good. Bring her home, mate.
Love it. Let's move on to our Patreon exclusive group, and the leader is yet again Team Prostitutes Inc. T with their team Prostitutes Inc. Jonas Goat, I think we've established.
Established.
Round score 25-12. That was a weird way of throwing that. 2,512. Total score of 18,054. And he is overall rank 470th. The sharpshooters, though, took out the weekly top score with a score of 2,570. Big score there.
Yep. Mammoth. And in terms of our Patreon exclusive SuperCoach Edge Cash League, the results looked something like this. It was Popperball FC defeated by our combined father-in-law in Tankers, which is Peter's team. And it was 2,469. It was a narrow win. It was only 8 points up against 2,477. Then we had, Carps Crushers defeated by... Oh, no, sorry, defeated.
No, just defeated me.
Defeated you, sorry. I was going to give you a win here. You could have kept quiet. Carps Crushers, it was 2,300, defeating your score of 2,281. So that's another close one as well.
19 points,
19 points. Sharpshooters, who is still in first place, 2,570, defeated Black on White, who scored 2,366. And then my team rounding it out, I've progressed into second spot by beating Ton 618, scored at 2,451 against 2,421. So 30 points, the margin there. And must admit, that is Emper, of course, one of the long-time supporters of our show and podcast. And he actually said that he was close to bringing in Zeeble, but opted not to. And if he did, he would have trumped me. So tip of the cap there for you, Emper of Ton 618. So you've gifted me a win. So thank you. I will pay it forward somehow, maybe. But maybe by gifting you a win, Liam, when we next meet.
Thank you. That would be nice. That would be nice. Let's move on to the ladder. And it looks a little something like this. Brett, with his team, the Sharpshooters, sits in first place, a game clear on 24 points over with 6 wins and 1 loss, and 5 on the trot as well. Going great guns. Yeah. Damon, you sit in second place with your team DJ Trade A Lot in 20 points, 5 wins, 2 losses, and 4-1 in the last 5. Carps Crushers, Wade, 16 points, 4-3. 4 wins, 3 losses, and 2-3 in the last 5. Tankers on a bit of a tear as well. He was in 7th place off memory.
Yeah,
not long ago. So Peter, you're going well. 16 points, 4 wins, 3 losses, and 4-1 in the last 5 rounds. So on a nice little tear there. Matthew Emper, Tons 618. Damon didn't do him much good there. 12 points, 3 wins, 4 losses. He's in 5th place with 5. Yeah, in the last 5, 2-3. Black on White, Scott Arthur. He also sits on 12 points, bit of a logjam there. 3 wins, 4 losses, and he's gone 1-4 in his last 5 matches. Dylan with his team, Popperball FC, on the 2 wins, 5 losses with 8 points. 1-4 in his last 5, and myself on the bottom of the ladder in 8th spot, Church of Parish, still in the top 8 though. 4 points, 1-6 in terms of win losses, and 1-4 in the last 5.
Very nice. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. But before we go, of course, Liam, where can our listeners and viewers find us across our socials?
Yes, if you want to get all the visual gags of David and I trying to shake hands through a camera.
We'll rehearse it. We should have rehearsed it. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
We'll do better next time. Jump onto YouTube,
apologies.
Search SuperCoach Edge, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Please, thank you. On Twitter, if you want some news, some gags, whatever you like, at SuperCoach_Edge, Damon at DamonJ88, myself at Liam Evans _95. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You'll find us at SuperCoach Edge. Just search that in the search bar. Just type it in. That's where we'll be.
Absolutely. And if you like our content and our attempt at choreographing a handshake electronically, Russell Coit style, All Aussie Adventures, for those people out there who watched that back in the day, it was always quite funny, the handshake gag. But yeah, if you do enjoy our stuff, feel free to get around us in the form of subscribing to our channel. Of course, we are trying to hit that elusive 1K mark by the end of the season. So if you haven't already subscribed and are keen to help us on our way and give us as a bit of a way of thanks to what we produce, as maniacal as it is, feel free to do so. And yes, we thank you in advance. But that's it for another episode. So hopefully you can have another rip snorter on the weekend. Thanks, as always, for tuning in, and we'll catch you, as we say, same time, same place. We'll see you then.
See you guys.